Hi everyone, Mrs. Hess, Superintendent of Harbor Creek School District. I asked Mrs. Pasteur, our pandemic coordinator, if I could jump on with her today. Hopefully you've been watching her videos every Friday when she puts them out regarding how Harbor Creek is doing with the pandemic. But it was a little different this week, and I asked her if I could jump in this week because we have an urgent call to action for our community to be sure that our schools stay open. So we'd like you to sit back for about 5 minutes. That's it. We're going to keep it to 5 minutes so that we can share some information with you. So would you like to start, Mrs. Pasteur?
Yeah, absolutely. So to date, we've been unable to track any spread of COVID-19 in our schools, which I think is an important message that we really wanted to share to everyone today.
Great news.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a total of 7 cases in our district since we started school late August, 4 of which have been considered to be positive cases and 3 of which were considered to be probable cases which meet the clinical criteria for COVID-19. We've really done such an awesome job with our mitigation efforts in our schools, and that's a huge thanks to faculty, staff, parents, and students. So we appreciate all of your efforts with that. Schools in our district really have been able to maintain our doors open, which is something that our entire region hasn't been able to do. And Mrs. Hess will speak a little bit more about that. So currently we have 2 positive cases that are active in our district, one being in the junior high and one being in the senior high. And really how we measure our success is through our ability to contact trace, the amount of cases we have in any of our buildings at any given time, and also our ability to staff our classrooms.
One of the things I'd like to share with the community is that on a weekly basis, really back since March and definitely since the beginning of the school year, is that the superintendents around the county meet with the Department of Health. And we have about an hour every week where we can just kind of like fire questions at them to help them help us in keeping our doors open. And just this past week, in which prompted me asking Angie to be a part of this video, is one of the superintendents asked, hey, like, we're doing really well at school. Like, our mitigation is working. If we do get a case, we're able to like contact trace super quickly. We are doing our part at school. What's the problem? Why are cases rising so much? And our schools are being affected for lots of different reasons. And the Department of Health answer was quite clear. And it really comes down to the unsanctioned events that are happening outside of school.
Yeah, and I think, like Mrs. has said, I mean, everyone's wearing their masks appropriately. We're able to socially distance at school.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to meet that 6 feet at school. So, when the Department of Health and us were having these conversations, it really is the unsanctioned events, the social gatherings that people are having outside of schools that are really bringing Erie County to our knees.
Right.
It's not the lack of mitigation efforts in our school buildings.
So the reason that that's happening is, even though these unsanctioned events are happening outside of school, it's impacting our schools.
Yes.
So how is it impacting our schools, Mrs. Pasteur?
Well, a big part of it is really some of the closures recently have been around our region has been due to the lack of staff. When staff are out on quarantine, whether they're a close contact or a positive, it diminishes our abilities to be able to teach our students in person classrooms. So that's
we
really
certainly appreciate our staff doing their part.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate our staff doing our part. And then there's of course the students who are out because they are getting the virus from their parents, from these unsanctioned events that are going on outside of school, or they are a close contact to a parent or an aunt or uncle or a family member or neighbor where all these events are happening. So quite frankly, what's happening outside of school is really beginning to impact what's happening in school. So right now in Harbor Creek, so far, knock on wood, we have been able to mitigate this. There are certainly schools throughout our county that haven't. I mean, we have seen it. Every night I turn on the news, there's another school that is shut down. And it's because of those events. So I implore you today to help us keep our doors open. We are doing our part here at school. Please do your part at home. Use your mask, social distance, really consider those gatherings, especially as the holidays are coming up. We need to make sure we keep this, we're at the very least in hybrid, we need to keep it that way. So I implore you to do those things at home.
I think another message we want to deliver today, to be fully transparent, is the Department of Health, both at a county level and a state level, are really challenged right now. They're overwhelmed with the volume of cases coming in each day. And their ability to contact trace and call out those close contacts has really not been done very timely. And this isn't said to criticize either of the Department of Health. It's really just to put that call to action, like Mrs. Hess said. If you're called by a family member or a friend and say, hey, I was in close contact with you and now I've tested positive, don't wait for a call from a Department of Health. Stay home, quarantine, follow that 14 days of quarantine from that last exposure you had with that individual. And I think, by the time you're going to be notified, you could already potentially be exposing others out in the community, within your workspace, within your home. So please, we sent out a flow sheet a few weeks back. We're going to attach it again today, just so you can reference it on what to do. There's going to be multiple scenarios you're put in, and that will help you decide what the best option to do is. And you can certainly reach out to me if you have questions.
That was a real eye-opener to me, the contact tracing this week. That was something the Department of Health has shared with us, is that they have no longer the ability to contact trace locally. They are getting that information, for example, for school, they're getting that information for us, and then they're sending that along to the state. Luckily, we have Angie, so she's able to do that contact tracing for us. So just to reiterate what Mrs. Pastua said, is just to make sure that if you are contact traced or you have been in contact, that you do that quarantine and isolation. So in summary, I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who is doing their part. I really ask again to do those mitigation efforts at home so we can keep our doors open. I pledge to you that we will continue to communicate. Every Friday Mrs. Pastua puts these videos out. We will continue to communicate. If we would happen to move to remote learning, you'll get information from your building principals and your teachers. Thank you once again. If I don't hear or talk to you in the meantime, happy holidays. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and as always, go Huskies.